So today we're talking about gifts and accessories. Hey, so the first thing I want to show you is in the manual, if you go to page 12, you're going to notice that on the side, there's actually something that says gifts and accessories, but it's kind of hidden. So I just want to show you what this looks like here. So if we're taking a look on page 12, everybody turn to that page there. Does everybody see right here where it says gifts and accessories? So when I was a brand new rep, here's what I usually did. The customer said yes or no to the homemaker or whatever thing they were purchasing. And I said, okay, great, let's write that up. And then at the end, I was like, oh, we also have gifts and accessories if you want to look at that. No, you're good. Oh, okay, cool. That's pretty much how I did it. I don't know if you can relate to that. So it was either, yes, I'm going to click through it, or maybe not this time. Okay. So I'm going to have you take a couple notes about the gifts and accessories. And I don't think it's a bad idea to write it in this open white section right here, this little blank. So I'm going to write a couple things down. And the first thing I want you to understand about gifts and accessories. So here's tip number one. I'm actually going to screen share that again. Tip number one is very easy. It's just show gifts and accessories. Hey, how many things do you think you'll sell if you never show them to the customer? Zero. You'll never sell a single thing, right? So if they're not aware that we have it, they won't purchase it. Also, I want you to understand that some people who don't buy a bunch of the knives, they actually will add on a bunch of accessories. So once I learned how to present this, I actually started to sell a bunch of gifts and accessories. In fact, I have another one I got to see if I can find here. I basically have a desk full of all the gifts and accessories I'm going to show you in a second here. But I started to have people purchase 1, 2, 3, 4 items when maybe they didn't get even any knives. Okay. All right. So another thing I want you to write down is suggest 3 things. Write down suggest 3 things. Suggest 3 things. This is called suggestive selling. So for example, when you go into, let's say you're buying a Subway and they say to you, hey, do you want to make that a meal? Do you ever say, what, excuse me? Did you just ask if I wanted to spend more money? You jerk. No, you say, yeah, sure, or nah, I'm good. Do they even care if you say yes or no to that? They don't care, right? As the Subway person, they have to ask everyone, right? So your goal is to suggest 3 things. Because again, if you're saying, hey, I think this might be something that you would like, that carries some weight. And the other thing I want you to write down in this little space here would be, here's the phrase, would you like me to toss that on the list? That's all you say. Would you like me to toss that on the list? Okay. Would you like me to toss that on the list? So basically, once you figure out what they kind of like from the gifts and accessories, you're gonna say, okay, cool. Would you like me to toss that on the list for you? And then where would you type that in to your app, right? So you're gonna type in hunting knife to the app so you can get a total. The other phrase I want you to write down somewhere, it can be in the space if you have room, is who do you know who ... Who do you know who ... And you'll see how we use this. A couple easy ways are, who do you know who loves to barbecue? Who do you know who loves to hunt and fish? Who do you know who loves to garden? And if they say, oh yeah, my dad actually likes to fish. Well, Father's Day is coming up, right? Would there be any reason to get him a gift? Okay, great. Do you want me to toss that on the list for you? Do you kind of see how that works? So let's put this into practice here. And the goal is to start with, so step 1, you're going to write a list of all the stuff they like. You already know how to do that, right? So you're like, okay, for example, I know you like that trimmer. Okay, what else do you like? And you're typing in the app, or you can type it in on the computer. And then what I want you to do there, since you've done demos, is this space right here. This is where I would put gifts and accessories. So I would even draw an arrow from here up, or if you want to just write in gifts and accessories, that's where I want you to show the stuff. As a new rep, we don't really teach this because we don't want you to be super confused. So what you do is you say, okay, let's pick out all your pieces. They pick 4 pieces. Hey, that's a really great list. Let me show you some of the gifts and accessories. And then you're walking through every single thing, you're explaining it, and then you're saying, hey, would you like me to toss that on your list? So now instead of a 4-piece thing, what do we have at the end of the gifts and accessories? Like a list this big, and then we can start to whittle it down to what they want to buy. Does that make sense? So the goal is to make your list as big as possible, and then you can figure it out from there. All right, so if I go to a screen share, we're going to go to the accessories here. All right, and this kind of changed, by the way. So if you look at Zoom, am I screen sharing the wrong thing here? Or was it a screen sharing? Oops. There we go. All right, so this changed. So this little 42 down here, you got to click on that, and then that's how you find the slide. So let's go to the cookware. Okay, so remember this past thing we just said was, hey, let's pick out all your favorite pieces. Okay, and then you're going to go to the cookware. Now you already know how to do this one. This is just where you share the video, right? They watch the video. Watch the video. You show them the pots and pans. For the pots and pans, you just say, hey, is there any reason why, or would there be something you like out of this stuff? What do you like that you'd want me to toss on the list? I can tell you some prices, okay? Also, if you look at page 14, I've got it right here. You'll actually notice there's a script for the cookware. So this is something I would actually have out next to you during the cookware section. What I want you to understand about the cookware, everybody, is this is not a I'm going to buy this list. This is a I kind of like this list. Does everybody get that? So for example, if you're like, hey, would you like me to toss the barbecue set on there? And they're like, oh, I don't think we're going to buy that. You're going to say, well, that's okay. This is just stuff you like. It's not stuff you have to buy. I'm just going to tell you some prices. Because would you agree that you haven't even told them any prices yet at this point for the individual knives? You haven't even told it up. So the goal is to make your list as big as possible. So for example, we're going through the cookware stuff. And then this is where we get to the fun part. This is where we're going to explain some stuff. So in your notes, I want you to write down table knives / steak knives. And I want you to write down the phrase, or just the numbers, write down 8, 12, or 16 ? So you can just put this in your notes. It doesn't have to be in your manual, but here's what I would say. Mr. Jones, we have some table knives. Ideally, with your family, you have 4 people in your family. I know that. There's always some in the dishwasher, right? It's your most used knife. Ideally, would you prefer to have 8, 12, or 16 table knives in a perfect world? And you don't give them the option for 4. It's either 8, 12, or 16. And then you'll write down, okay, let's see. I'll write down 12 because obviously some will be in the dishwasher. That's perfect. Now, let me explain some of these things here. So do you see how we have flatware? I want you to write down flatware. I'm going to tell you a bunch about all the gifts and accessories, and just, again, take a bunch of notes on this so you can look back at it later. So for the flatware, if you take a look on my screen, you're going to be able to see some of the flatware options. I want you to write down stainless. The reason I'm covering this stuff too is we don't really go over this in training. We basically just say, hey, show the gifts and accessories, click through, see what they like. Well, some of you will sell a flatware chest, and that'll be more CPO than a homemaker would be. Again, if we're looking at page 14, there's actually a script on there for the flatware. So we've got the cookware and we've got the flatware. So let me tell you a little about the flatware. So the flatware is forever guaranteed. It's American made. The steel, it's 1810 steel. It won't bend or snap and resist rusting. It's also dishwasher safe. It's a timeless, classy design that doesn't change. Easier to replace missing pieces. No mix mash flatware. Most high-end flatware is around $150 per place setting. Cutco flatware is higher quality, lower price, and forever guaranteed. 12-piece flatware chest includes a 33% discount. All right, so with the flatware, there are two things about the flatware I want you to remember. Number one is forever shine and forever design. Those are the two things, forever shine and forever design. Forever shine means if it ever goes cloudy in the dishwasher, you can just send these back and get them replaced. Have you ever had that happen before, where the flatware starts to get kind of smudgy and cloudy and starts to fade a little bit? So these have that forever shine. Forever design means we're never going to switch up the style. So for example, other companies switch up their style of flatware every like 1 to 3 years. So let's say, for example, Shaylee bought a set of Oneida flatware. Well, what happens is, let's say 4 years later, her spoon and fork break, or maybe a couple of them get lost. If Shaylee wanted to purchase more, do they even make that style anymore? No. So what does Shaylee have to do? Buy a whole new set. Do you see how they kind of get you with that? So they don't make the same style forever. With ours, though, it's the same timeless design, and we have this forever. Okay. So if something breaks, you can get it replaced. Also, I want you to write down open stock. Open stock. And I'll explain what that means. STOCK. Open stock. What that means is, since we're the only flatware company that has open stock, they can purchase one individual fork. So if they lose a fork, if one of the kids runs off with it or whatever, okay, we can actually have them buy one fork. It's like 20 some bucks. What do you normally have to do, though, in another company? If they want to replace one knife, they have to buy a whole what? A whole place setting. That's what it's called, a place setting. Meaning you have to get 2 spoons, 2 forks, 1 stainless steel table knife. So it'd be 5 pieces instead of just the 1. So I had a person, one of the reps, this was like a month ago, they said, hey, my grandma wants like 2 spoons. Is that possible? She needs to complete her set. So we were able to write up an order with 2 spoons. Hey, it's not a lot of CPO, but it's treating the customer right, because they can now customize it and not have to get, not to spend more money. Make sense? So flatware, forever shine, forever design. This flatware set, it's about $1,400. That may seem like a lot for you, but that's about a $500 discount when you get it in the set. Plus you get some free stuff too on top of that. Now, if you ever want to know the prices, you can just go to the app and type in flatware chest or flatware set. It'll pop up. Okay, that's it about the flatware. Again, the main thing you want to ask here is how many table knives, 8, 12, or 16? What would be the main one in your family? And you would ask them, hey, do you like the flatware? Cool, let me toss that on the list. All right, let's get into some of the fun ones. So we've got some gadgets. Now, you already know about the veggie peeler quite a bit. I'm going to tell you some stupid, dumb jokes, and hopefully it helps you remember, but also have more fun on your demos too. All right, we got the pizza cutter here. So this is exactly how to explain the Gibson accessories. Mrs. Jones, we have a pizza cutter. You know how the gunk always gets stuck in the pizza cutter? Yeah, so the blade actually pops out for easy cleaning. You can throw it in the dishwasher. And also, it's got pizza sensing technology. It only cuts pizza, doesn't cut humans. Haha, just kidding. But you know how, like, if it was Cutco sharp, it would go through the pizza and the box and the table, right? So it's not super sharp, but it's got a very thin blade, so it separates the pizza very easily. So it's safe to humans, but it goes through pizza really well. Again, it's got that stainless steel on it. So best pizza cutter ever. That's what I would say about the pizza cutter. I know you can't show it, so I'll actually just keep this up so you can, this is what you'd be showing your customer. All right. I already told you about the cheese knife, holy knife. You can only use it on Sundays. Ha, ha, ha. Let me show you the can opener. This can opener is the coolest can opener ever. So they came out with this in 2012 because I was running a branch office when they came out with this. I remember when it came out. And anyway, you know how it always has that sharp edge on the can? So write down your notes, can opener. Sometimes when you get that sharp edge on the can, you have to go 99% of the way and pry it up. Have any of you ever had to do that before? Obviously the moms are like, duh, yeah, we do that all the time, right? So anyway, you can see how it cuts. If you look at mine, it cuts at an angle. Do you see that? So it cuts like this compared to straight up and down, meaning you're not going to get that sharp edge on the can. Plus the coolest part about this is it's got a magnet. Do you see that magnet right there? So you can cut 100% of the way around and push down and the lid pops up. So check this out. It's a magnet. Pretty strong magnet too, but you can just put it down and then you just hit it off into the garbage. Okay, here comes a joke for you. It took them 7 years to design the perfect can opener because literally they were designing it for 7 years and it finally came out in 2012 because so many Cutco customers were requesting it. So it took them 7 years to design the perfect can opener, but I think it took them 7 years because they wanted you to have a baby whale in your kitchen. Oh, so cute. Look at that little guy. Ha ha. Wow. All right. So that's the baby whale. And then we've also got the ice cream scoop. So right down ice cream scoop. This is really good for soft or hard ice cream. So if you take a look, you can see there's kind of, if you look at mine's dusty, but you can kind of see right here, there's a little bit of a, not a sharp edge, but a little bit more of an edge. So you can actually carve into hard or soft ice cream very easily. Most high quality ice cream scoops have melting abilities. So if you ever had somebody say, oh yeah, this thing melts it on contact. What do they use in those ice cream scoops? It's a chemical, you might have heard of it. It's called antifreeze. All right, that actually bleeds out if you put it in the dishwasher. So most ice cream scoops have antifreeze in them to melt on contact. Mrs. Jones, you probably understand you don't want to eat that or you'll die. Anyway, so you can't put them in the dishwasher. With ours, it melts stuff easily because it's got that high quality steel, similar to the steel as our knives. So it's going to melt things immediately. Also, this is good for melon balls. It's good for getting the seeds out of cantaloupes and pumpkins. So at my house, I use this for squash, getting the seeds out. Cantaloupes for sure, it's super easy. And if people like watermelon, like with the kids, for example, you can pop this in and make a perfect round melon ball, and then it makes it a little bit more fun and you can eat those. I always loved those as a kid. So anyway, there you go. That's the ice cream scoop right there. What I would recommend saying on the gadgets is, hey, out of these 6, and of course we have a wine opener. I don't have that one to show you. Out of these 6, which one do you think you'd get the most use out of? The pizza cutter? Okay, would you like me to toss that on the list for you? Hey, it's not stuff you have to buy, just stuff we can put on the list. Okay, great. And then you'd type that into the app. Who do you know who loves wine? And would there be a reason to get that person a birthday gift or an anniversary gift or something? Sporting knives. All right. Let's write down. First thing, let's write down pocket knife. We got 3 pocket knives. We got a pocket knife. That's what's called a lockback knife, and a Gulf mate. The Gulf mate, you can see here, has a little bit of a divot fixer. The lockback is personally my favorite pocket knife. I've got one right here. So with this one, you can get either an optional double D edge or a straight edge with it. And it's called a lockback because, and you'll now impress some of the dudes who think they know a bunch about, hunting and pocket knives, whatever. It's called a lockback knife because right here, you push down in the back of it and it unlocks it like that. So it's exactly what it means. It locks from the back. And then it locks into place and you push it and then you can take it out like that, okay? So with this one, I actually bought all these for my groomsmen in my wedding and I engraved their initials on it. So it looked really cool. And everybody got this as a groomsman gift. So anyway, this is the lockback knife. It's about $100. But this is good for like Mrs. Jones. You know how you're getting Amazon boxes every single day? Yeah, this is like the Amazon knife now, right? This is the one you pop open, cut the Amazon box. Your husband will love it. You can even engrave somebody's name on it. Write down hunting knife. Hunting knife. I got a joke about this one. This one's really cool. I sold a lot of these when I was a rep. I don't know where everybody's from, but if you're from Minnesota, people hunt all the time. So this is definitely a really big seller. So and you can tell the story. My manager, Chris, he always told me the story about how he field dressed 12 deer with this one knife. He never had to resharpen it. Most people get through like half a deer and have to resharpen it. It comes with a white handle too if you wanted. It also has a full tang. So if you see right there, that's the hilt of the handle. It goes all the way through. So the tang goes through. A little bit of blood on that thing looks pretty cool too. You can engrave your nickname Buck Slayer on it. Haha. People always seem to like that one. So you can say you can engrave Buck Slayer on it if you want to. It also comes with a free leather sheath as well. So if it was my manager, it's your manager. So you can just say my manager field dressed 12 deer with this one knife, never had to resharpen it. You can get it in an optional double D edge or straight edge as well. So this thing is really a popular one for sure. Okay, let's go to the fisherman's solution because this is one that I love to talk about. This is probably our most popular gift and accessory if you explain it well. So here, oops. So here's the fisherman's knife, okay? Let me tell you about a couple of features. So if you can see there, it says fisherman's solution on there. All right, first of all, there's a line cutter right here. So you can hang it on your belt loop and you can put the line in there to cut it instead of taking out a pocket knife, which is a lot more dangerous. And you can't get your finger in there, it's not exposed. Also too, on the back, there's a sharpener. You can sharpen your hooks and your straight edges. When it's out of the sheath becomes a pliers. That's my favorite part. It becomes a pliers, so you can hold the fish while filleting it. And then the blade also adjusts from 6 to 9 inches. Locks into place. There's like a little, it's called the cam lock. So it's right over here. This thing locks it into place right there. Very flexible too, right? So you can really get down on the fillet. The handle is made of a craton material, so it becomes kind of sticky when wet. So it's not going to slip out of your hand when you're filleting a fish. And then the last thing is the blade pops out for easy cleaning. So you can throw out the dishwasher. If you can see mine, you can see the hole through it. See that? There's a hole through it. You can rinse the fishy smell out of it too. So you can see here, there's a lot of cool features on this one. This is only like $100, right? Most fillet knives, you can go to Cabela's or Gander Mountain. You can get them for like $200-300 and they're not forever guaranteed. But this one will sharpen it up for free every fishing season. So we do buy 3 get 1 frees on these. All right, so I would always emphasize, who do you know who loves to fish? Would you want me to toss that on the list? I don't have the prices memorized, Mrs. Jones, but I can tell you the prices in a second. Cool. All right, so we've got that one, and then we're going back. We're almost done here with the gifts and accessories. Again, your goal is just to throw everything on the list. And then we've got garden tools. Okay, if you're in Minnesota, you got a little bit of advantage. Mrs. Jones, they're purple and gold for Vikings. Support the new stadium. We're going to the Super Bowl this year. Haha, just kidding, we suck. But anyway, these garden tools are still pretty cool. So if you look at mine, there's actually this is the trowel. So if you take a look, there's actually a ruler right here. You see that? So there's a ruler. You can actually see how far to put the seeds in. These things are indestructible. There's no way you can break these things. It's impossible. Indestructible. These are also rust proof. You can leave these outside and you can leave. I had a guy who left these outside. And again, you can tell these stories. One of my assistant managers a couple of years ago his customer left these outside and she called him afterwards and she's like, hey, I found my garden tools. You can tell all your people this that you sell to. I found them outside after it snowed and they were like perfectly shiny still. They didn't even rust over the entire winter, even though they were sitting in the snow the whole winter. So that is actually pretty incredible. They're purple and gold, so you don't lose them in the garden. Most garden tools are brown and green, so you lose them a lot faster. And then here's what's called the bypass pruners. The pruners, I would just call these the super shears for the garden. Super shears for the garden. That's how I describe them. All right, so do you see this little notch right here? So they're thick enough, if you see here, you can cut a tree branch off with them, a small tree branch, but they're delicate enough to cut the stem of a rose. So how you do is you put the flower in that little notch right there. It's a perfect cut for the stem of the rose. Okay. And it locks into place with this little locking mechanism here. So you can push it down, whoop, and then it locks like that. And then you can open it up, and then it springs up like that. Okay. All right. And you stuck around to the end, meaning you get a hilarious joke at the very end. All right. So we've got a bunch of paring knives. We've got some cutting boards. Do you see this little Super Shears holster right down here? This is the cheapest thing Cutco makes. It's $4. Look at my block right here. Do you see how this thing is on the back? So anytime they get the Super Shears for free, suggest they get this. It sticks on with 3M adhesive tape. You can put the Super Shears in there. And there you go. Hey, if you've sold some sets and they got some Super Shears for free, I just made you a little extra money. Call everybody back and say, do you want to add that $4 holster on? You can all put it on the side of the block. You can also do a cabinet or maybe a wall or a drawer, just so you can always find your Super Shears. Again, it's $4, but you potentially could add a little bit to your order. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is the barbecue tools. These bad boys right down here. All right. Last hilarious joke for you. Mrs. Jones, the barbecue tools, they're long enough to flip your neighbor's burgers. They're 1.5 feet long. So look at these things. They keep your hand really far away from the grill. If you've ever grilled before, a lot of the times they're too small. The spatulas are too small. Or have you ever used those flimsy ones that are plastic and they kind of like bend and whatever? With these things, they keep your hand far away from the grill. Also, it's got the thermal resin handle, so it's not going to melt or burn in your hand. And these tongs are really thick, really easy to maneuver. And we've got the fork right here as well. So if you like your neighbors, you can flip the burgers for them. If you don't like your neighbors, you can steal a steak over the side of the fence, or you can poke them through the fence if they're annoying. There you go. So the barbecue tool of Mrs. Jones. Do you know anybody who loves a barbecue? Any reason to get those people a gift? Would you like me to toss that on the list for you? Cool. Okay, so now that we've explained all the gifts and accessories, the next thing you say is, hey, this is a really great list. Let me go ahead and calculate up all the things that we just picked, and I'll tell you what the price would be if you decided to get all this stuff today. So do you see now how we've got like this big list of stuff? And then what we do is we go to the specials and we see what they may be like, and we could try to pick out some free stuff and help them with an order. And how easy is it going from a 5-piece special to like a 3-piece and a 2-piece and a 1-piece? Instead of just starting with 2 pieces, if you do the gifts and accessories right, you could get a bunch of these things added on. Cool? Okay. Hey, we learned a lot about gifts and accessories just now, right? Who feels a little bit more confident that you kind of know what to do with this section? And again, even if you now know how to explain stuff, instead of just saying, we've got a pizza cutter, we've got a nice now you know a little bit more about what to say, right? So at least you can explain them a little bit better. All right.